Prologue. 7 enigmatic fragments. Memory scatters, but fragments never forget. After 1990. Each morning, dark honey eyes peer back at me from the bathroom mirror, questioning, constant. These eyes, unchanged since childhood, hold a story waiting to be told, memory coursing through blood vessels I've never fully fathomed. What secrets lie buried in the deep wells of those eyes, shimmering with unspoken histories. This was the first fragment of my identity puzzle, one of the 7 enigmatic pieces scattered across a terrain I'd spend decades mapping, scattered by upheavals that weathered my life like storms across fragile terrain. Near the mirror sits a photograph, me at 26, the same age my father was when I was conceived. Did I inherit his features? The arch of my brow, the angle of my jaw, the curve of my mouth, the restless flicker behind my gaze. His name, Giuseppe, was the second fragment, offered reluctantly by my first mother decades after I discovered the secrets of my relinquishment. A man who lived in Carlton, worked in a nameless business, a shadow with hazel eyes and brown hair known to the world, unknowable to me. The third fragment, biological heritage, the invisible strand of DNA linking me to ancestors scattered across continents I had never seen. The fourth, a medical history. Its pages remain crucially blank whenever doctors inquired about family conditions. I would confess, I don't know, I'm adopted. The fifth, cultural origins that resonated within me in ways I couldn't articulate. An inexplicable gravitational pull towards certain foods, music, intellectual pursuits, phrases and instincts that seem to rise from some subterranean well of memory beyond conscious knowing. The sixth fragment haunted me most viscerally. Family history, birthdays, Christmases, weddings, births and deaths I had missed. Moments that should have been woven into the tapestry of my life, but instead floated like phantom constellations, visible, unchanged, already extinguished, yet still casting their light. And finally, the seventh, my psychological self, the person I had become in this constellation of absences, forged in the crucible where nature and nurture collided, tempered by both love and abandonment. Who am I? The question echoed through the decades, a secular prayer whispered into the void. Melbourne, 1980. Broken at 16 on a Melbourne bus, my identity felt splintered, each shard a piece of memory, biology and culture. Pieces scattered across decades, awaiting alchemy to fuse them. In the Japanese art of kintsugi, broken pottery is repaired with gold, transforming damage into beauty. Each fracture is traced with shimmering golden lacquer. The breaks are not hidden but illuminated, the very points where the vessel becomes most precious. My life, like the vessel in kintsugi, would crack and gleam with gold in time, perhaps under a fig tree. Each golden seam telling a story of shattering and reconstruction, of vulnerability transfigured into strength. Could I too be transformed by breakage, remade by golden seams rather than undone by the shattering? We inherit more than chromosomes. We inherit silences, unspoken traumas, and psychic wounds long unacknowledged. This is the blood memory coursing through generations, a current of unresolved sorrow. In my case, I inherited not just genetic matter, but the negative space of secrets, a cartography not of places but of absences mapped across my veins. For years I subsisted on mere slivers of insight. A southern Italian mother, an Italian father's name, a suburb, a nameless family business, his hazel eyes and brown hair, fragments like relics buried in an archaeological dig, too jagged, too sparse to reconstruct with certainty. Calabria 2024. When I finally set foot on Calabrian soil, travelling to the tiny village where my paternal ancestors had dwelled for generations, I carried with me the fragmented relics of my identity. There I unearthed more than heritage. Identity, I discovered, is not a buried prize, but something quarried slowly from the stone of our own persistence. It is something we actively create and assemble across the arc of our lives. This is the story of that arduous reconstruction, a roller coaster journey toward understanding who we are when the stories authored by others prove to be fictions. It is a story of family, those who engendered me, those that reared me, and the one I ultimately fashioned for myself from the fractured remnants. La figlia dell'amore è il prodotto di una gentil donna innamorata, di un principe di grazia e virtù, per destino di una sotta ingrata. The daughter of love is the product of a gentlewoman enamored of a prince of grace and virtue, by fate of a thankless lot. So wrote my uncle Andrea in one of our rare exchanges before his passing, a poetic gloss gliding a starker truth. I was the progeny of a woman's ardour and a libertine's fecklessness in an era when such unions invited shame and severance. A love child, a bastard, a fragile covenant between longing and despair. And now, 4 decades later, I begin to fathom both the devotion and the devastation that conceived me, to understand how these shards came to be strewn, how I arrived at that faithful bus stop. On an unremarkable afternoon, an unsuspecting girl whose entire existence teetered on the edge of unravelling. You'll need to step with me through the fragments in whatever order they reach you.